Hi, Patrick. Thanks for letting me record you today. The question I want to ask you is, how do you define a healthy relationship?
I don't have a straightforward answer
That's
to how
great.
to find a healthy relationship. And the reason is that I think that in most relationships, the perception of the relationship is never completely balanced. Even when it's pretty close, it's not, I mean, you everybody has their own perspective, right? I mean, if nothing else. And and in fact, relationships can be, significantly unbalanced in ways that might be interpreted by people looking at it from the outside as not being healthy, um, but that one or both of the people inside the relationship thinks they have a great relationship. And then the other thing is that people can be very much in sync with each other, in terms of what they think of their relationship and how they're viewing themselves in terms of facing the world. But the basis of that can be something that's very negative, that's very sociopathic almost, or
Mm.
or something like that. But they're in it together, and so they think the relationship is great. um, so those are my caveats about about a healthy relationship. At a at a at the simplest level, there's two big things, I guess, in my mind. One is that the person who you're in a intimate relationship with has your back,
Mm.
um, in terms of facing the world, and in terms of, when you're having challenges or being challenged, by a person, place, or thing, that that they're right there supporting you, in a way that you don't question.
Hmm.
um, and and then the other piece is that uh, you have good communication, that you talk a lot.
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
and I'm not a I have a great deal of difficulty imagining a healthy relationship where there isn't a lot of talking. So I'm
Ah,
very biased. I'm very biased toward, words coming out of, both mouths, in terms of in terms of how I would evaluate that, even though I know that there are some people who would say, oh no, that's not necessary. Um, um, and so those are the two big things. And then I guess the third thing is, although, I'm approaching the age where it's losing some of its um, uh, some of its you know real strong punch. When you're younger, particularly, it mellows as you age. But when you're younger, and by younger I mean certainly till you're close to 50,
oh,
uh, if not 50, you better have a sex life. Personal experience as you age, um, that becomes a little less of a driving driver.
yeah. That's actually, I love the way that you framed that, and well, you said two, but then you gave three. Out of those three, can I ask a follow-up question? Out of those three, um, which do you think really is the most important?
uh, when you talk about, I mean, obviously, relationship can apply to, to any relate, to any
Sure.
interaction.
You're,
Key things.
yeah.
And I guess, I think having what I'm calling having your back,
Mhm.
uh, is the is this thing, because having your back. It's like, right. People say, there has to be trust, but trust almost to me isn't big enough for what it is. It's obviously trust, but it's more than that. It's having a sense of of that you feel like the other person has a sense of what matters to you in your life,
Hmm.
uh, and that uh, and that they're behind that they're supporting it, that
Hmm.
they're it's more than just trust. It's having your back. By having your back, I'm talking about trust and commitment, and that's the most important thing, because again, when you talk about having lots of conversation and communication, again, that doesn't necessarily work. It can be a different way than how sex doesn't work. um, but if you if you see the world in certain ways fundamentally differently,
Hmm.
the fact that you understand each other, I mean, there's some things that you can see the world differently, and the relationship is still good, and you can still feel like you have each other's back, or
Hmm.
but there's some things that uh, you can perfectly well understand it, but that's kind of gonna put the kibosh on the relationship.
Yeah.
um
Deal
uh
breakers.
so yeah, so I would say that it's the having each other's back.
Yeah.
That's sort of the yeah, that if I was going to say anything, that would be the non-negotiable, which is why you can see some couples who are very happy in their relationship, and yet you see them in a fight and you're like, holy shit.
And how long have you been together with your partner? I don't think I've ever did I ever ask you that?
uh
Just curious now.
well, I I think I mentioned it when we crossed 30 years,
Oh,
uh,
okay. Okay, I didn't remember it.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah, that's
now
amazing.
which was in 2018.
Okay,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
so that means we're going into our 35th year.
Jeez Louise. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I
Yeah, those
know.
are great answers. Those are great answers. And I think they're all, it's neat because they are all related actually in my mind. Like, so you talk about the having your back, and without good communication, you wouldn't be able to get a sense of what's important to the person, and then actually even the good sex life, like actually that's important really because it creates sort of like a vulnerability that I think sometimes aids in good communication.